Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Road Less Traveled podcast. We are doing this again from our home in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's been a while.
G'day, everyone. It's been a week since we got back.
Yeah, but it's been a while since we've done it here
I know.
in this podcast studio. Meets gym, meets guest bedroom.
Meets my dumping ground
Yeah.
of camera equipment and drones.
Y'all should see what we see. It's no longer a view of Queenstown or Australia.
I much prefer the road less traveled. I'm not going to lie.
Yes, me too. But alas, reality calls, and we are
Yeah.
back home, and we're working. We got a baby sleeping downstairs. We have one child at school.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Let's hope Lily stays asleep during this.
TBD. Nora's had some changes this week. We put Nora in a big girl bed.
Yeah, I think it's about time. You know, she's been sleeping in beds all around the world, hotels, since Canada last year and Australia and New Zealand now. So she's used to big beds.
Yeah. I think since being back, we've struggled with jet lag. We struggled with daylight savings time change. And we really had to throw the big girl bed in there.
Yeah, and we're trying to do potty training as well on top of that. And I'm sure there's some mums and parents listening out there that can resonate how hard those two transitions are. I think I've slept most nights in Nora's bed going in and out because she's just scared, She's going through a big transition and I think it's big feelings and she needs one of us there.
Oh, yeah. Daddy's the softie.
And that's me. Well, it's like
yeah.
Nora's room is right next to Lily's room and Nora screams out when she wakes up and she's scared and I obviously don't want her to wake Lily up. So I'm like run in there and try and comfort her and I try and sleep with her till she falls back asleep and then do the Houdini out of there.
Yeah, it didn't really work last night for you. I took care of Lily, fed her. She's waking up about once a night now.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. It's fine.
Because I'm with Nora.
And Alex is on Nora duty. So it's all
Yeah.
hands on deck. It's so interesting when you're, done with having kids. Like we're done with 2. And yet, like,
Are we done?
there's, Lily's outgrowing the 0 to 3 months clothes. And so those are on a pile on the floor, ready to be taken to a consignment shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have it in me to take them. But we're not having another child.
We'll dive into that. Today's episode is going to be all about relationships, specifically our relationship. Definitely no therapist with it when it comes to advice, but we can give you guys some of our relationship perspectives in this episode.
Yeah, so
that's one of the questions.
Yeah.
So we'll save that.
So yeah, we didn't ask us anything way back in the Sunshine Coast when we were in Australia,
We did.
and so many were about our relationship. And I think at that time we were talking about just travel. Yeah, we kept it to travel, and so now we're going back to some of those questions and other questions that were sent in on our relationship because y'all are so intrigued.
Well, it's pretty personal stuff, I got to be honest. And before meeting Lesley, I never really put it out there, put my relationship out there. Obviously, you share what you share on social media with family and friends, but Lesley going on The Bachelor, not once, but twice, you've been pretty public with your relationships, I would say.
I wouldn't disagree.
So look, I don't mind going a little deeper and opening up. So let's get this underway.
Let's get this party started.
Yeah.
Question number 1. And there were quite a few of these relating to finances.
Ooh.
Do you guys do a shared finance? Do you guys do shared finances? Separate or both with a joint for bills?
We don't do joint right now. We have separate business accounts. We have separate personal accounts. And
0 joint accounts.
We've talked about it, and I think we're happy with the current status quo.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, when you get into what is the number one thing that couples fight over, I think a lot of the times it's money, finances, and I don't want to get there.
I would agree with that.
But not to say joint accounts would take us there. I just think we're more apt to you know, be ourselves, our own persons, and
Yeah.
our in our own
Yeah.
finance accounts.
Yeah. And I think we might get a joint account at some point
Mm,
down the road. But right now we file our taxes as joint because
yeah.
that's a better thing to do financially. But with businesses, we keep it separate. Look, I think one of my New Year's resolutions is to be a little better with my finances. I'm a great spender.
And I'm a great saver.
And I always invest in my company with new cameras. I have a $25,000 camera sitting right behind me, a cinema camera, which paid itself off from one job, and the whole thing was a tax write-off. So, but
I don't want a spender in my accounts at all times. I'm just gonna put it out there. You like to spend.
I
You like
do,
to spend your money.
I do. But I'm definitely pumping the brakes this year. Like I have everything I need, and it's consumerism is real. I see the new camera, the new drone. I'm like, shit, I gotta have it. But realistically, I have phenomenal equipment. There's only so much they can improve. But that's something that I believe is very contentious. And I know people, family and friends who were going through it recently, and it's over money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Big problems, and problems that shouldn't be happening at their stage of the relationship. I won't say who this is, but it is the number one thing is money, and
And I
someone
just
spending money on things they shouldn't be spending it on, and it's irresponsible. And as a 37-year-old now, having two daughters, there's things I'm not spending my money on, like going out and drinking and going to bars and clubs and gambling. I used to do those things in my 20s, like prolifically in Australia, but I left them behind. And I think in relationships, I could give you the passwords to my bank accounts, credit cards, everything, and you could look at it,
mm,
and I would have no problems
yeah.
with you looking at it. There's no,
Well, I tell you my numbers all the time.
yeah,
So I think there's a lot of transparency there, but I think bottom line is when you have separate accounts, it's less likely that you're going to have arguments surrounding finances
hmm
in a sense, I guess, because you can do whatever you want with the
yeah,
money you have,
yeah,
and I can do whatever I want with the money I have.
yeah,
And that brings about, I think, less arguments.
yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Maybe we'll get a joint account down the road.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we're good right now.
Do you ever get sick of each other?
I think it's like, that's a great question. It's like any relationship, when you spend so much time with someone, it's not that you get sick of them. I think that is a sign for you, for me personally, I got to get out of the house. I got to go for a run. I got to go to the gym, or I'm going to go take this job in California because I need to do it for me to fill up my personal cup. And I think the break, when I have these jobs come through, and when they do come through in California or wherever they are in the US, big production jobs, they pay really, really well, but they also give me a break from everything at home, and I come back a better husband and a better dad and with more money. But I think it's really important in relationships to take that time out for yourself so that you don't get sick of each other.
Yeah, I think we do so much together. We obviously live together. We work together. Even though our offices are on different floors, thankfully, we used to share this table in a
Yeah.
home office back in 2019.
Yeah.
And we've upgraded a little bit since then and have separated spaces, which is really great. And I think we I don't know.
You can say it. Say it. You're not going to offend me.
I think we do a really good job at doing everything together. I think it's a rarity. I think
Yeah.
it's what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, we probably do get a little sick of each other every so often,
Yeah.
but I think it's a rarity how much we really love to be around each other
Yeah.
at the same time.
Really. I mean, that's when you decide to marry someone, that's it, And before we got married, we obviously had Nora. We knew we were working together. Everything I did in film and media lifted up Lesley's business, and that just, the cohesion there, when it's work, it's work. We're I feel like we do a really good job of separating that work. And then when it's family time, it's like phones down. Let's try and be as present as possible with each other, with our kids, and finding those boundaries are really important.
Who has cleaning on their chore list?
Well, we have a cleaner once every week or two.
Every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Shout out Alto, we love you.
I do a lot of the dishwashing in the kitchen. I try and
Alex does a lot of it. When you cook, which is what, about 4 nights a week?
3-4 nights, depending on the workload we have.
I typically clean up. You do a lot of the cleaning. You do.
I as a cook, not a chef, as a cook, I clean up as I go. I do my best. Some meals are way messier than others, but sometimes I cook so much, I do a load of dishwashing before. But yeah, I try and clean up as I go. But that island bench just becomes a kind of a catch-all for all of us.
It's awful. I mean, it's never empty. It's never clean. It's never pristine. I saw something the other day, and it was like, you will get your house back one day. When you have kids, it's just it's lived in. And I think that's okay. It doesn't bother me. We each do our own laundry. And we both kind of do the girls' laundry when we do our own. So it's kind of like a shared deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely wash it. I'm king of the sheets. I wash the sheets. I try and wash the sheets once a week. That's really important to me. Spend a lot of time there sleeping. And so, yeah, I think we have a good balance of 50-50 there, cleaning up after ourselves.
I agree.
Yeah.
What were some early hurdles you had to overcome? Well, why don't we start with, I got a lot of these. Where did you meet? How did you meet? If you missed episode 1 of the podcast,
just go and listen to episode 1 and it's all there.
Yeah. Short version. We met in LA, 2018, summer of, over a drone.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
What were some of the earlier hurdles?
What were some of the early hurdles after you met?
For me, it was definitely Leslie's public profile at the time. That was a massive hurdle for me. I said to Lesley, I'm like, I do not want to be in the public eye for at least a few months. I want to have privacy. I just wanted us to have time. And I look back on that and it was really cool. I know it was really hard for Lesley because she's so used to sharing things, but I think you also tease people. You threw my leg or knee in there, and in one of the Instagram stories, and my sister's like, I've never heard so many people talk about my brother's ankles and knees, trying to guess who I was in the Bachelor world.
People were like, is that Ben? Is it Dean? Who is it?
Yeah. But that was my biggest hurdle.
None of the above.
I was used to being public with, I was big on Instagram with my drone account and YouTube and doing videos and stuff like that. But that was work, plus relationship stuff, being pretty public about that. And, as soon as we did go public, it's like People Magazine and Us Weekly throwing my name out there and calling me @DronePilot.
Or Alex Cav.
Yeah, Alex Cav. So I think that was my biggest hurdle at the start. That's all I can really think about.
I think for me it was I don't mean to phrase it like this. Can you keep up? I just mean that from a travel standpoint.
Yeah.
I was worried about being all over the place all the time as a traveler, and wondering how that would affect the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I met you and then we went to Norway and, I had money in the bank. My business was doing well, but living in LA is not cheap, or anywhere these days in a big city is not cheap. And then all these trips started coming up and you started inviting me in all of these. And then that would take me away from my work. And all of a sudden, my savings are just going. So yeah, it was expensive keeping up with you. Because you weren't bankrolling a lot of things, and I wanted to pay my way as well, but that was a financial hurdle as well.
Yeah,
because
I know
you're a professional traveler, and it's expensive traveling. And granted, most of the trips we got comped accommodation and comped this, but not everything was comped. Flights aren't always comped on some of these things, or they were comped for you, but they weren't comped for me at the time because we weren't, Bonnie and Clyde yet. But yeah, that was a hurdle and a financial challenge for me for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up.
I think I just wondered what the longevity looked like for that, because I mean, I didn't ever think that I might be able to handle somebody who had a traditional 9 to 5 job,
Mm-hmm.
because it just leaves a lot on the table. When do you see each other? It's a unique
Yeah,
lifestyle.
it is. And I think as a creator, having to adapt and reach out to brands and be like, hey, I'm going to all these countries. I remember working for Adobe on a campaign and they're like, here's 30 grand. And I'm like, great, I can eat for the next few months. But I had to do all this work in Croatia that time. Remember, I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
played editing. So adapting to that, the road less traveled lifestyle was good for me because it challenged me to reach out to companies that I was already working with and take the jobs on the road
Mm-hmm.
so that I could still earn money. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How do you avoid snapping at each other in high anxiety travel situations with kids?
I'm
Ay,
not gonna lie, like
ay,
I was guilty of some moments on the last trip, and Leslie's just like looking at me like this, just don't do it.
Oh no, I had to be like, leave the premises.
Yeah.
Um, and I get it. It's tough, especially when both kids are screaming, having tantrums. You can't hear the
Mm-hmm.
other person across from
Yeah.
you. It is a challenge. And this was our first time doing it with 2 kids.
Yeah.
At least, when you have one, somebody can go hang out with the one, and
Yeah.
you can kind of divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm.
With this, we each had a kid in our arms screaming
Mm-hmm.
a few times along the 5-week journey we were just on. And I think, I don't know, how do you de-escalate the situation? I told you to leave a few times,
Yeah.
to walk away, and you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. It's just hard. Yeah. When everything's heightened and there's just situations I think in all relationships where there's especially throwing kids in there, situations are created and you don't want those situations and then you say things to each other or to someone else that you might regret, and usually within like a few minutes of me saying something or you like I'll apologize, I'm like I didn't mean that.
You're very good about that. You're very good, and quick to apologize. I need to take a page out of your book, because I don't think
Yeah,
I'm as good at it.
I think we do all have a tendency as humans to snap and say things at times, but it's how we are as humans and react to those situations. You go, you know what, that was wrong, I said something in the heat of the moment, I shouldn't have said that, I apologize. I never ever want to go to bed having a disagreement or arguing or having said something to you that was hurtful. I'll always like make an effort to apologize, and it's usually me. I don't know.
That was another question, is, do you go to bed angry at each other ever?
No, never.
No. I think maybe it happened once, and you were like, "I'm gonna go sleep upstairs or sleep on the couch."
Yeah.
And
And then I'm
I don't
just
think
like,
you never
no,
did. You
I
came
was
in
like
and
up here and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like,
yeah.
I love you so much. And I'm
Mhm.
like, this is so stupid what we're fighting over. And it just, yeah, being the bigger person and going, yep, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm really sorry for that.
Yeah,
I
you're
think it's
really good at that. Yeah, thanks for that.
because we're not perfect. We're not going to like sugarcoat the relationship. We have our moments, many, many moments. And kids, yeah,
Yeah,
kids
whether it's
make,
here at home or on the road or wherever it
hmm
is.
and kids make it more challenging for
Whew,
sure.
yeah. But I think at the end of the day, we're so committed to each other
Hmm.
and what we do, and just have a really solid foundation that we're, if it does go to shit for a few minutes, it always comes right back. And
Yeah.
it's, there's an apology, and
Mm.
everything's, usually okay after that.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yep.
And I hope it's always like that. How did you find a man who lives to cook for you? Dream man right there. I don't know if you live to cook for me. Maybe she meant loves to
Oh
cook
man,
for you.
I'm not gonna lie. We've had a pretty rough week adjusting after coming back from down under, and we we had some nights where we were putting the kids down, and then by the time we got them down, it's 8:39. I'm eating cereal. Leslie's having toast. I'm just like, what are we doing? So yesterday I made an effort. I went out to Trader Joe's. I spent a couple $100. I got about 3 or 4 meals, dinners specifically, and like veggies. And I just crave a home cooked meal. And I have my mum to thank for that. She was working up until I was about 6 or 7 years old, while my dad was also working full time. Then when things got better, she just became full time mum and cook, and seeing her in the kitchen and getting us kids involved turned me into this love for, for cooking and food and yeah, so I just love cooking. And last night we had a meal, our first meal at the table
It
as a
was
family of four. Lily was up on the little
on
thing.
the bouncer, and Nora was stoked to be there. We, I just want to do a lot less TV at night.
Yeah.
And I read something the other day: TV before bed or 30 minutes before the bedtime routine, it depletes melatonin by 90%.
Mm-hmm.
And she really is so much more cooperative
Yes.
when there's a lot more connection there.
Yeah.
I read the other day, I actually truth be told, I paid for a taking care of babies course for toddler sleep because it's so bad right now. And there's a lot of good golden nuggets in there. I haven't finished it yet. But one little, quote in there is connection brings forth cooperation. And it's so true. Anyway, great first, family of four dinner at our dining table last night.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just so important as a family to come together. I'm sure your parents did it
every night.
Just at the end of the day, coming together. And as the kids get older, it will become easier. Obviously, it's quite difficult now. And we've had many, many dinners with Nora at the dinner table. But yeah, for my mum and my dad, it was so important for us to come together at the end of the day as a family over a home cooked meal. Or it could be pizzas or takeout one night. That's fine too. But having a home cooked meal, there's just something really beautiful about that. And yeah, I have my mum to thank for my love for food and cooking.
Same. Thank you, Dee Dee. We love
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because I reap the benefits of that. And it's so beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
I just feel better after that.
Yeah. And I will say some of these partnerships that come through, like HelloFresh, and this isn't sponsored, but they're a lifesaver, especially when we're so busy. And what was it? Home Chef was fantastic.
I think my two faves right now are Home Chef and HelloFresh.
Yeah,
Love.
so good. They send you all the ingredients. They're fresh, and you've still got to do the work as well. So, but that saves me time from going out and shopping. So yeah, I love those easy home cooked meals in the fridge too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you go married to an Aussie? Do you find yourself speaking the lingo? Yeah, I use some. Yeah, for sure. Nappy is a staple in our house, and if you don't know what that is, it's a diaper.
Yeah, and the British call it. So there's still a lot of British colonized Australia, and we're still part of the Commonwealth. So yeah, we say a lot of the British words, but just with a different accent.
Nappy, keen.
You say reckon. I've got Lesley saying reckon, which I think is one. And the Savo, you've said the Savo,
yeah, for sure.
which is short for this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's there. It's there. It's only becoming stronger and stronger. And my favorite thing is that Nora her accent is literally American Aussie. Is that a thing? Like it's a good mixture, and it's so cute.
Yeah.
Better. I mean, everything that ends in an ER becomes an A.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yeah, Nora's definitely got a little Australian accent happening.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that you.
I'm an honorary Aussie.
For sure.
And maybe we'll see one day if I become a citizen. I don't know.
Yeah, you can.
I don't know. Oh my gosh. So many more. Okay. How did you keep hope that you would find your person? I don't know. I trusted the process. I remember I've always been kind of a relationship person, and I like being in relationships. I remember my 3-year relationship from when I was living in Argentina, and after the fact ended right around my 29th birthday. And I was so mad because I was like, huh, how could you do this? You made me single at 29. Like as if 29 so young.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much more to live for. And I know that only becomes even stronger as a 30-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
Once you turn 30, there's this massive stigma behind it that like you should know what your life looks like from that moment forward, which is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Again, so young, so much more to live for and find out and experiment with. And so by the time I turned I think I was almost 31 when I met you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a month or two before I met you. And I was s- in the most creative headspace I'd ever been in my entire life, living above a nursing home. I rented this furnished apartment for 6 months in LA because I'm like very super non-committal at the time. Didn't know where I wanted to be. Still traveling, every single week, and could only commit to this place. Of course, it came with its challenges above a nursing home. But that's where I went on my YTT yoga teacher training. That's where
Hmm.
Limitless was born, in that apartment. And so I truly think once you are at such peace
Mm.
with yourself, and you can go out into the world as, a I don't know, as yourself, completely ready to meet somebody.
Yeah, I resonate with that. I'm a little bit older than you, only by 8 or 9 months, but just gotten out of a serious relationship. Didn't see it coming. I mean, obviously there was some things there, and I was like, all of a sudden I'm single. I'm like living in my friend's guest house in the valley. Went for my run, and I had this grieving process that I went through. Of you're like, "Oh, shit, my life that was the life that you thought you were gonna have with this
Yes.
person." So I was going through these emotions of like, wouldn't call it depression, but extreme sadness.
Mhm.
Maybe it is a little bit of depression from that love that you've lost. But I ended up slowly finding my personal happiness again. And once I was happy, like that time I was sad, I wasn't going out, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing anything to try and like numb it. I kind of just threw myself at exercise and running, and I love running. And I'll never forget it. I was running in the mountains and had this kind of rocky, this come to Jesus moment at the top of this hill, and I was just like, you know what, I'm okay. Like things could be worse, and I was just so enlightened at that moment that that's when things started to change for me, and it was just beautiful. So that once I was happy with myself, I ended up moving in, and then you came along, and I just wasn't even expecting it. I remember I started going out. I'm like, fuck, I'm single again. How weird is this? But I just didn't care. I didn't want to meet anyone. I didn't want a girlfriend. And then you just came out of nowhere. So I think finding your true inner happiness,
Mhm.
yeah, and just letting everything else go. And I think fate sort of happened
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, I think, and for anybody listening to this, in that space of wanting to find your person, but it not happening yet, I'm sure that can sound frustrating or like a broken record to you. Just like, be at peace with yourself and you will
Yeah.
find your person. Like, I get it.
But
That can be frustrating to hear, but I do think like working on yourself, finding that inner peace and that inner happiness
mm,
will then set you up to find somebody else that you can pour
yeah,
into. But first you have to pour into you.
absolutely. And I think also finding the things you love and then throwing yourself into the things those love, because then you might meet someone with similar interests, and then all of a sudden you've like Lee from New Zealand, how he met Danny. They were out pulling up all the wilding trees, which are an invasive species. So they came together for this joint love for conservation and the love of landscapes and the outdoors, and boom, there they were. So I think again, once you find that happiness, go out, find the things you're passionate about, and then you'll never know, you might meet someone.
It's kind of like the same thing I tell people when somebody's like, "Oh, what would you give me as some advice as a 20 something?" And it's like, saying yes more than no,
Yeah.
like, even when you
Take
don't
the
want to.
trip.
Yeah,
Take the
yeah.
trip.
I think there's just, like, so much beauty in that, even if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Because on the other side, I think most of the time, if not every time, you're like, "Wow, I'm really glad I did that."
I think what I've noticed from a lot of these women at Limitless, in the circles and the sharings, so many people get caught up in their careers, and so do we. We're so caught up in our careers. We even had a moment this morning arguing and just discussing passionately about the business and things. When you do care about what you do so much, it does consume you a little bit,
Mhm.
and you've got to take some time away from whatever it is you're doing. Carve it out for yourself. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so too. A balance. At the end of the
absolutely.
day, which Americans suck at,
We do.
honestly. I
Well,
love that you're like, yeah, we
well,
now
we
that you're an
do.
American
Well,
citizen.
Westerners in general, we
Yeah.
do. We're kind of programmed 9 to 5, or us. We can work into the night,
Yeah.
really weird hours. But yeah, we're all kind of
Yeah, I have a good friend who started dating a Spaniard, and he lives in Spain but works in the U.S. a lot. And he was like, I think she asked him, "Would you ever move to the U.S.?" And he goes, "No, I don't think so. The U.S. is a great place to work, but Spain is a great place to live." And it's like, oh yeah, that's truer words have
oh
probably
my
never been
gosh,
spoken because yeah, work it's a grind here, but in
yeah,
Europe, man, they know how to live.
yeah, yeah.
So do we. It's a balance.
Yeah, it's a balance.
It's a
I
balance.
feel like we're all pretty bad at it, but try and find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you keep the sex life alive being so busy? You want to take this one?
Kids. If anyone has kids out there, you'll understand your sex life just kind of takes a back seat.
Yeah.
It's just not a priority. Like no offense, like your relationship, in my opinion, it goes through this. If I had a graph here and I could point, when you first meet, obviously everything's crazy and
Breaking
you're
beds in Norway.
breaking beds in Norway. But, when you have kids, they're a priority, and obviously we try and carve out time for ourselves when we can, but between kids, work, limitless trips and everything, there's not a huge amount of time. And then when you do have time, you're fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like,
It's short and sweet. And we
am I selling it?
we haven't broken a bed in a while, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I broke one doing a swan dive with Nora
That's right.
playing on this.
We're actually looking at a broken bed, but not
Not how
not
we
the same.
not how we like breaking beds.
Oh my gosh.
I just think, yeah, it's hard. It's hard, and you've just got to try and carve out time and, yeah, make time when you can for each other. It's important.
It is important. I completely agree with that. I
It
think
is
it's a
important.
necessity, and you should. And now that we've been back a week, like we should find time to like hire a sitter
Yeah.
and go out on a date night and focus on
Yeah.
us because
And we do.
we do that. But looking at the past 6 weeks of our lives, it's been full on with
Mhm.
either work with Limitless or
Mhm.
juggling 2 kids in a foreign
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah. It is
And
tough.
I think it's time to like do something for us.
Yeah. Let's go have a date.
Let's do it.
And I've got one here from the Road Less Traveled account. Have you ever gone to marriage counseling? And if not, would you?
Yeah, I definitely would. I'm all for counseling and therapy. Absolutely for
Mhm.
it. I think it's just about carving out time, finding the right one.
Mhm.
Um, uh, is it covered by insurance? Probably not. Definitely not against it. We've never been.
I don't think we need it. I'm sure we could take things away from it if we did it,
For sure.
but in no way do I feel like, oh, geez, our relationship's so bad. We need to do marriage counseling. I know.
Yeah, I don't even think it has to get to a bad point. I think it's a healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
But no, we
I wouldn't say no.
I wouldn't say no.
If it was for the greater good, I would absolutely do it. But yeah, I know people in my life that haven't had marriage counseling and should have marriage counseling, and
Mhm.
their marriages haven't worked out so well.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. Are you going to have more children?
Oh no. Open a can of worms with that one. Okay. 99.9% repeating, like no.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's a female thing or if you feel this too, but once I'm having a hard time finalizing it and saying definitively no.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like we're not going to have any more kids, but I'm having a hard time taking those 0 to 3 months clothes, selling them or taking them to a consignment shop. But why? Like we're not having any more kids,
After
right?
traveling with 2 kids, back and forth, it's extremely difficult at a young age. I think it's going to get easier as they get older. It's such a weird feeling. I was down in New Zealand and I just felt like there was someone missing. I felt like we need a third. It's such. I don't know if I had a dream, but we've got 2 healthy girls, and I'm like, I'd love a big family, but they just
Yeah.
cost so much. And then traveling with them is extremely difficult. We fit in a perfect middle 4 row seats in economy right now, which is great as a family.
Well, yeah, and on a big airplane.
On a big
4. Yeah.
airplane, yeah. Or 2 and 2 if it's a small
I
one.
think we also both grew up with 2 siblings. And
Yeah.
so you had a brother and a sister. I had 2 sisters. And so maybe that's the natural instinct to want to have another one to round it out to 3. But I don't disagree with you. I think at this point, it's kind of like a gamble because we have 2 beautiful, healthy girls, and you always think in
Mhm.
the back of your mind, well, okay, what if? Like, what if we did have another
Yeah.
one and there was some kind of issue there, or it wasn't a healthy pregnancy? And you always
And then
have these thoughts creep into your head.
yeah, it's hard to go into a pregnancy thinking like that. But yeah, I would love to have a big family, but you also need a big bank account. And
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have interesting career paths that are unusual.
Yeah. I think both girls were so different from one
Mhm.
another. I mean, Lily's only 4 months old, but
Gosh, Lily's so
she's
smiley.
so fun and so
So
smiley and
much
so
easier than Nora.
happy and is such a great sleeper. I mean, gosh, this
Yeah.
could change tomorrow, I
Yeah.
know. But she's really fun.
Yeah, she
And she
is.
makes me want to have 100 more
I
babies.
know. That's the thing. Anyway, we'll think about it.
It's probably a
It's
no,
probably a no. Yeah.
but it's fun to think about.
Yeah.
But probably a no. I don't know if that was interesting at all. I hope it was. I hope you were thoroughly entertained. And if you weren't, I apologize.
Nah.
That's us.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for all those questions. That
yeah.
was I think really insightful. That was almost like going to marriage counseling. So thank you for that. It's free.
And that's it. I think that's a lot about us. A little, a lot. I don't even know. I think we're pretty like even keel, laid back, type B people. And that's why we just work really well together.
Yeah. You're stuck with me, babe. That's it.
And that's it until next time. We'll see you next week. Thank y'all so much.
Cheers, everybody. See ya.